afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tawnya Love Show. Today, I am feeling guided to talk about holographic leaping, and we were going to talk about that last week, and just a little apology for some miscommunication and that we didn't have the show. But I'm glad you guys are back tuning in live with us today. Um, I wanted to start off in regards just giving a little moment of honor to all the people that are dealing with the aftermath of this terrible tragedy in Florida with these shootings. And it's interesting that what we're going to talk about today actually will touch upon that from a more soul contract perspective, and hopefully bring some comfort to some of you that sometimes when things happen like this, we're just like, what is going on and what do we do about it? And it can really trigger fear. It can trigger anger. And so my reminder is just like every single time, no matter what's happening in the external movie of our life, is the highest choice is to choose to come into a space of love and to be love and to respond with love. So there's things happening on this planet that are working themselves out, and there's people that are agreeing to different soul contracts of what they're going to move through, what they're going to learn. And sometimes we can forget that. We can get caught up in the actor of the character we're playing, and we take everything very personally, and we think that it's us against the world. But if we can really tune in and realize that we are all co-creating our reality with every thought, with every feeling, and every emotion, then we can kind of honor and understand from another higher perspective that every soul is actually in a state of creation constantly. And so, that being said, I'm going to talk about that from a scientific perspective, as well as kind of bounce around with a few authors. Um, One of the authors, and I've mentioned her name before, is Pam Grout, and she wrote a book called E Squared and also E Cubed, which is her newer book. And I was just going to read a couple quick things just to kind of go into how, we keep talking on the show about quantum physics and how we are creating our own new earth, or our new so-called reality, with every thought, feeling, and emotion that we choose to focus on and hold. So if we're focusing on a feeling of hate, of fear, of anger, of jealousy, of paranoia, as we hold that thought, feeling, and emotion, we will create experiences. We will create an external reality that will manifest into matter that will come into our movie. And the same goes for if we choose instead to focus on love, on abundance, on gratitude, on joy, on wholeness, rather than separation, we create from that focal point, and the field of potentiality has to mirror that back to us. So part of what we can get in trouble with as a society is when we see things happening on the planet and we want to get into this very rigid black and white or right or wrong approach, and we want to say that that's wrong and that's right and this is good and this is evil. And it can get us in trouble in the sense that it pulls us out of maybe a really happy, blissful day, and suddenly something happens and it triggers us, and then we feel justified to downward spiral into fear, anger, and hate. And I would really encourage you to use this opportunity, no matter what is coming into your life situation or what you see happening with those around you, to stay, as in getting into the vortex, how she says so eloquently, and as always, we remain in the vortex. So you want to choose to remain in the center of the vortex. Remember, I talk about it's like a storm, like a tornado spinning, and everybody's chaos is on the outside of that vortex. And we can get triggered, we can get distracted, we're centered, we're at peace, and then suddenly something pulls us into that tornado, and we're flying around in the, with all the shrapnel. And so we want to choose consciously to stay centered and observe the world, not absorb the world, to stay, in the world, but not of the world. It's just staying in that sense of I am here and I am one with everything, but I am centered and one with my source. I don't have to lose my alignment no matter what's happening out here. And so I just say that to remind you all, because sometimes when a tragic event happens that involves many souls that are co-creating in their own way a situation, we can get triggered and get pulled into it and then really lose our joyous alignment. And so just a little reminder of that. Any of you that want to write in today or call in, I encourage you to go and just type your name into the live chat And if you want to call in, the number is 919-518-9773. So if you want to call in with a question or a comment, feel free to do so. So one of the things that she has, I'm just going to read over a couple little points that she made in her book E Squared, and it's one of them is called the abracadabra principle, and that is whatever you focus upon expands. And so, like I was saying, if we're focusing on joy, goodness, abundance, it's expanding. If we're focusing on being poor, if we're focused on everyone hates me, nobody understands me, we're focused on, the fears of our own inner judgment, then we start to create from that, and that will expand in our world. We'll start to really draw it into our vortex. So in this experiment, if you guys have read the book E Squared, she does little science experiments, and I love her books because she's very funny and very just playful, but she gives you understanding from a scientific perspective and a spiritual perspective, and then tells you as the reader to go and experiment with them so that you can learn through experience. Because otherwise, it's just reading another book with someone's theory, and theories can be great, but we don't really know from a theory. So when we put it into practice and we start to play and experiment with these things, then we know. We start to really see what powerful creators we are, and we start to really understand that the field of potentiality is constantly responding to our energy, our thoughts, and our emotions that we're putting into the field. So in this experiment, she's just asking people to put an order in the cosmic catalog of life to make an intention to draw something into their lives, something simple, something that wouldn't immediately bring up major resistance. And then she shared a few stories. So I was going to just read a couple to you. One is a person wrote in saying, I requested free money. Not much happened for a few days, but then boom, 3 random clients sent me gift cards, a total of $160 to Starbucks and Target. And I went to a party and was asked to tell a few jokes to the crowd at dinner. Then they sent me a check for $250. I'm up to $460 in 1 week. And so that's just a person showing that they were focusing on the universe just bringing them abundance, and how the fun ways that it started to come in. Let's see. This one's kind of cute. It says, today I went for a walk, and halfway in I wish I had brought money with me so that I could get a coffee. I had no money, so I tried an experiment. I put it out, and I put out to the field that I would find some money on the ground, enough for a coffee. I thought there has to be a way for me to have a coffee without any money. I scoured the ground as I continued on my journey, and then I came to a park. I looked up, and right in front of me was a sign that said free coffee and cupcakes, and a van with a guy who made me a latte. So kind of fun ways the universe can deliver what we want. Another one that she has is the Dear Abby principle. Your connection to the field provides accurate and unlimited guidance. We either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves happy. The amount of work is the same. And that's from Carlos Castaneda, is a quote from him. And I feel like I totally agree with that. And that's why I've said on the show many times, like, it's the same amount of effort, or the recipe is the same for a soul to create an abundant and beautiful holographic reality. It takes the same amount of energy, the same amount of thought, feeling, and emotion for that soul to create a blissful reality as it takes for the soul that is unconsciously creating a hellacious reality. So they're putting their thoughts, they're putting their feelings and their emotions in day to day. And it might be, no one loves me, everyone's against me, there's not enough, I never get what I need. And so they're putting that out there, and they're creating the same magical recipe. It's just, the choice is different. So one recipe is bringing in the abundance and the good, and the other's bringing in gloom, doom, and despair. And so for any of you that have been having a script for a while, you're attached to your story, and you've been focusing on the lack and what's not in your life, I really encourage you to shift that and to go into a higher vibrational reality just right now with your thinking, because thoughts create matter. What we're thinking about, what we're vibing about, we're bringing about. And so if, like the situation today with the shooting, if each of us hold just a focus of love, that only good will come of this, an awakening is going to come from this. People are going to unite and awaken because of this event. And I'm only going to hold that thought, feeling, and emotion of beauty coming from this. Then we collectively will start to assist in creating a new reality. At the same time, we could all individually start to think about, man, the world's going to hell. The end of times are coming. I mean, this is going to get worse. Now, where's it going to happen next? where will the shootings happen next? And we start to go into fear and paranoia individually, and collectively we'll start to create that. Then the next event will happen and we'll be like, I knew it. The world is going to hell. It's the end of times. And we'll feel justified, and we're kind of like downward spiraling in that fear, and we lose ourselves in it. So we always have the opportunity to affirm and to focus upon what we desire rather than what's here. And we observe what's here. We're one with it. We honor the now, but we also realize that what is happening now is an accumulation of past thinking. And even if it has nothing to do with us, which sometimes this is where we get in trouble, somebody's creating a situation and then we get ourselves involved and lose our vibrational alignment because of what they're creating. And this is where the universe is a pretty big place. We're all holographically creating our own holographic realities. So like I've said before, we all live on this planet together, but we are not living in the same world. And if you just kind of look around you, and you'll see that's very clear and true. Your world is very different than your neighbors or your parents or your coworkers, or a person that's living in Africa and how you're living in your country, or a person that's living in Detroit, and all having very different holographic realities based on their chosen thought, feeling, and emotion. So we want to remember that. Yes, we're one, but we are also individually creating our own perspective of life, and our own, creation of life is coming through our focal point. So I'll pause for a second, see if there's any questions or anything coming in. Amnon?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, one of the other ones I was going to point out is called the fishes and the loaves principle. The universe is limitless, abundant, and strangely accommodating. And I agree with that statement. It says, let us cease walking through life blinded by darkness and confusion, seeing shadows on every wall and corner. And this is American author Michelle O'Donnell. But I was reading through here, and it's showing different things that people were watching, just people writing in their stories that, like one person says, I got my little gift hand delivered by a Jehovah's Witness this morning at 10. At exactly 21 hours after I stated the experiment, a booklet was delivered that stated on the back, God is a type of infinite spirit and has a great sense of humor. And so it's just people kind of putting into the field an expectation, and then something comes. And one that I was going to share that happened to me and my beloved last night, Will took me on a surprise date, and we went out and saw a movie, and a really great movie called Me Before You. I was telling Amnon before the show. It's a really beautiful film. And first I'll tell you what I was going to say, because my mind wants to jump around with things. So we were driving there, and we're trying to find a place to park in Portland and on a Saturday night. And there was just like lots of people in Portland at the same time as us. And so we're driving along, and at first I'm just letting him do his thing. And then suddenly I realized we're driving around quite a while. And I was like, oh, baby, are you having trouble finding a spot? And he's like, yeah, we'll get one. And so I was just like, angels, I just said out loud, I'm like, angels, thank you for giving us a spot right up front to where we need to go. Thank you so much. And then I just let it go. Within a couple minutes, we come around a corner and there's a spot available. And Will's like, oh, there's my spot. So he pulls in. He pulls up behind this car, and right in front of us, the license plate on that car is 777. Which, you know how I've shared so many times about angel numbers and how the universe speaks to us through numbers. And so I just laughed, and I was like, that's so perfect. The angels got us a spot. And so really it's kind of coming to this place where we are playful with life. We're in traffic with everybody else. But some of us will remember that we can ask for what we need. Asking, you shall receive. So we'll ask for that nice spot right in front of where we're going, where others won't ask. And if anything, they'll put a thought, feeling, and an emotion of, God damn it, Portland sucks, and I never can find a place to park. There's never enough parking. We're going to be driving around here forever. And they're very justified in why they believe that, but they're talking about their problem. They're talking about the lack. They're passionate about it. They're really ranting about it. And they keep driving around, and there's no spots available for them because the field of potentiality has to mirror to them what they're putting into it. So at the same time, the availability is there to say, angels, universe, God, whatever you want to connect with, whatever you want to call it, I would love for you to have a spot waiting for me. Thank you so much for helping us out. And then bam, it opens up. That's how my life works all the time, because I just ask. And I feel like the only difference between a soul like my own that is asking and receiving is that I actually know that I'm connected with this universe, and the universe loves me and supports me and wants to give to me. And I know the importance of my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. So for some of you, no matter what it is today that you're, fueled up about and you're fired up and you're passionate and you're justified in, if it's in a direction of anger, fear, lack of any kind, I really encourage you to cut the crap, drop the script, drop the tension, and come back into a space of ease and ask the universe for what you want. Not what you hate, not what you've been experiencing, but what you desire, what you're ready for now. And so, as we go from a place of holographic leaping, is what I call it. A lot of people will call this a miracle. A miracle is truly just when an appearance of a certain reality suddenly shifts into a new reality, suddenly, and it's swiftly. And we call this a miracle. But those of us that actually understand the universe and we understand how our thoughts, feelings, and emotions actually create shifts, it stops seeming as much like a miracle and more just like a reality, like a technology that we know how to use. So when we're actually doing hands-on healing, I mentioned the documentary Holy Ghost before. If you haven't watched that, watch that documentary. It's amazing, and it will help some of you understand what a healer like myself is doing. I am just holding an intention of someone's wholeness, and I'm focusing on their wellness, their wholeness, their alignment. And if they also join me there, we do this together, we co-create what looks like a miracle. Suddenly a client that I've had who hasn't had a menstrual cycle in years, and then the day after the session, she calls me up, Tawnya, I got my period. Holy shit. That kind of stuff happens. Now, to a lot of us seeing that, we'd be like, that's a miracle. But really, it's just two energetic, conscious beings putting their focus on the solution, on the wholeness together and creating a vibrational shift. So that's the holographic leap. We could have a situation like, we have these stories like archetype, like Cinderella, where it's like that rags to riches story. We've had these happen in our society. We see people who go from, like Jim Carrey goes from being homeless, driving around looking at gorgeous houses and saying, that's the life for me, and I'm going to live in those houses. And he writes himself a check for $2 million for acting services rendered, and then it comes to him. That is a holographic leap, and it could seem just like a miracle and like he's lucky and wow, how's that happened to him? And my life sucks so much. But really, he was holding a thought, a feeling, and an emotion for long enough that he co-created that experience with the field of potentiality, and it appeared to be miraculous because it was a sudden whoosh, shift. And so when we are going into, let's say we want to have a holographic leap into a new direction, let's say like Amnon, I know Amnon wants to generate more financial abundance with these shows that we're doing. I want to actually generate abundance as well. I feel like all of us would love to get paid for doing these shows. That is really the highest holographic reality. So let's say that's what we desire. That's what we all want. So we each have to hold our thoughts, feelings, and emotions on the shift of that, on having the abundance, on being paid for what we love to do, on being supported from the universe. When we think this and we feel this emotion, even though it's not here yet, and we hold that vibration, it starts to create a tipping point. It starts tipping in a different direction, and suddenly we manifest what we desire. Were you ringing me because somebody has a question? Jingle.
No,
What's
that
up,
was
Am?
that was coins.
No, that was like, bring us the money. He's shaking his jingles. Okay. So when we're in that vibration of, let's say we go from like Jim Carrey, he's homeless in his car, but he wants to live in the mansion he's sitting in front of. That looks like a really far away place if we're stuck in a place of, um, if we're attached to matter and physicality, if we're saying like, this is my reality, I'm homeless, I'm poor, they're not, they have a bunch of money, and look at how far apart we are. We're seeing from a consciousness of separation and from lack. So in that consciousness, we cannot receive what we desire because we are, in fact, putting out an expectation of the lack of it. We're separate from it. If we shift, however, to that's my life, I'm one with that, that is my new reality, I am feeling it. I am so excited to be walking around in my new house. I'm so excited of the feeling I have to know that I have plenty of money to pay my bills with plenty left over for fun. That feels awesome. Even if that's not your reality today, the issue that happens with most of us that keeps us from shifting into a new holographic reality is that we're too goddamn attached to the one we're in. And that's really it. We're so attached, we're so convinced it's real. And so we talk about it and we vent and we fuel ourselves with fire about it. We are irritated about it. We talk on our blogs about it. On Facebook, we vent about how nobody loves me and all the women suck. I mean, I say this playfully because I see some people on Facebook just they're upset. Some woman clearly hurt them, but then they're just totally venting about how no women can be trusted. And I just observe it and think, wow, like that definitely isn't going to be drawing in the loving, trusting women. And we need to kind of pay attention to what we're putting out to the universe. Because if we desire a holographic shift, we have to get ourselves in alignment now to start creating that. So what's going to happen in our future is going to be a direct result of our thinking, our feeling, and our emotion now. That is leading us into a future. So our perceived destiny, does anyone really own that? No, we do. This is one of the reasons I'm not into psychics or people that tell someone what your future is. First of all, that is not an alignment. If someone comes and just tells you that they know your future, the thing that's going to happen from my perspective of consciousness is that you're going to believe them about that, and then you're going to expect that to happen, and you're going to co-create it, whether it's good or bad. So if someone says, like, let's use like John Lennon, for example. I know when he was younger, I read a biography, and he had said that some psychic told him that he was going to be assassinated by a crazed fan one day. And he was so paranoid. He was forever like waiting to see if someone's going to be crazy. And he was nervous, and he talked about getting anxiety before concerts at times because he didn't know if some crazy person was going to show up. In essence, at the end of his life, when he did get assassinated by a crazed fan, we could be like, wow, that psychic was really true and right, and they told him the truth. Or from my perspective, the psychic planted a seed of an expectation, and he, through his fear and expectation, manifested and drew it to himself. The same goes for good things. We could tell someone, you are going to have an amazing future. You are going to be the chosen one. Everyone in the world will honor and revere you, and you're going to just create such shifts. And when we give this kind of love and support to a human, that in essence creates a sense of confidence, and then they expect good. They expect life just to bless them, and they manifest that. So if we really can get, aware of how we are all co-creating together and that we're the ones in charge of our future. I wanted to read a quick thing.
Wait, hold it.
Yeah, go for it.
Sidekick is asking, how much focus must be placed on what you want? How much desire is required?
Okay. So it's really about like not being obsessive to where you're kind of freaking out about it, because again, it's an energy. So if you're in, let's say you have $50 in your bank account and you want to have $10,000 in your bank account, you want to focus on the feeling of the 10,000 in the bank account, the feeling of ease, the feeling of just comfort in your life, the feeling of relaxation, of just knowing you've got whatever you need and there's plenty. That feeling is what you want to focus on, and then visualizing the ways the universe can bring it. Maybe you see you're signing checks and putting them in your bank account. You visualize whatever it is that you love to do. If you're an actor, you're getting paid for your services. If you're a healer, people are paying you and they're giving you tips and paying you above and beyond what you ask. Oh, doesn't that feel good? That feels amazing to be honored. It feels amazing to be appreciated. And you do that every day. Write down in your journal, this is what I'm so excited to have come to me. Universe, thank you for bringing me signs that I can't miss of where I'm being guided. Show me, where it is that I can go to manifest this goal and dream and desire that I have. Bring me signs. You start watching for it, excited, like a kid at Christmas waiting to see what they're going to get for Christmas. That feeling of excitement, you start just expecting the universe to deliver magic to you, and you start to see it. When you start seeing it, you write it down, you give gratitude. Go on Facebook and tell the world about it. Yes, share and enthusiastically share your joy about what is coming in from the direct result of what your focus is, your thinking, your feeling. So it's just every day keeping your focal point on the gratitude, on what you love, what you appreciate, and what you're expecting and excited about, rather than if it doesn't come in 2 days and you've been playing with this, don't lose all that vibrational leverage to go, oh, this shit doesn't work. I knew that Tawnya was full of crap. Like, don't do that. You want to keep the momentum going. You're building an energy and you're building and building until finally you draw that energy in. You're basically pulling in through your thought, feeling, and emotion a sense of reality, a new sense of reality, and it starts to kind of crystallize and take shape. The longer you hold that, the longer or the more consistently you hold that, the swifter it takes shape. So the same applies for when something's leaving our life. They on the what was I saying? The documentary by Greg Braden called The Science of Miracles. He shows these people chanting a chant that basically is already healed, already whole over this woman that has cancer. She has a tumor, and they're chanting this, holding the expectation like she's already healed, she's already whole, and they're focusing on her wholeness. And they're videotaping this through an ultrasound. And within 2 minutes, I want to say like 2 minutes and 40 some seconds, that tumor shrinks and disappears. That's reality. Our reality is not solid. They're showing you live that there is a very real, material item called a tumor, and it's matter. And through the vibrational focus of it not being there, it's not real, it disappears very quickly. So sickness in the body can leave the body quickly when we stop putting in resistance, when we stop pinching our hose with our fear, our worry, our expectation that things are getting worse. Sickness leaves the body because sickness is not our natural state. We're creating that dis-ease through our thinking, our feeling, and our emotion. A lot of people, once they get sick, they get worse because now they're really in greater fear of something's going to get worse. They're expecting the worst. I just encourage you all to be just as efficient. Remember, it takes the same amount of energy to create our darkest fears as it does to create our deepest dreams. So instead of going in that direction that we're so accustomed to, we're so programmed, we're so conditioned to go there, I encourage you to go in a new direction, to focus on a new shape, taking matter, taking form, and that is how you're going to co-create your new reality. Does that make sense? Did they say anything?
No.
Okay. It doesn't make sense, or they just didn't say anything?
Who?
Whoever wrote in the question.
Oh, I'm saying what she's talking about. No, they didn't say anything. But then Pegasus is adding, to what extent do thoughts, feelings, and emotions within the dream state impact our holographic reality while awake in regard to the law of attraction? And something just went way over my head.
Okay, well, the way I would look at that is that every state is a dream state in truth. So if we look at it from like a more shamanic perspective, there's the sleeping dream and the waking dream. So in our sleeping dream, we often will be more connected to the unconscious. We're seeing like symbolisms and, signs in our dreams that we're processing so that we'll hear and listen in a deeper way than maybe we are in our waking dream. So when we're awake, some of us are really great listeners always, but some of us, when we're awake, we're just busy, we're caught up in the game of life, and we're not paying attention to the signs, the synchronicities, and the guidance. And so when we're sleeping, we could suddenly have a dream that really gets our attention to bring us a message to help us in this waking dream. Does that make sense? So I feel like the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions are affecting both realities. It's like there's different levels of, if we look at our lives as multidimensional, there's multidimensional opportunities of like billions of possibilities. So in a dream, we can just go and manifest a lot of different realities there. We're in like another world. We're like, wow, it was so real. It was like I was in this whole other world. Who's to say that you weren't there, that you weren't creating? It's like Alice in Wonderland. That's such a great film, the new one, where it's showing like, these dreams that we have are they really that far off? I mean, we are in other realities. We're in an alternative reality. And that's the thing with holographic leaping. There's holographic realities available. We can go in a dream time and we can process one. And then in our waking dream time, it can affect us in this dream. We can start to kind of co-create and move more consciously in this dream because of that sleeping dream, the guidance that it brought us. So, did I answer that okay? Bring me some feedback.
I'll wait for him to say, but Sidekick
Okay.
said that you did answer his question, the first one.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's all about keeping our focus
And
where we
then
want to
Pegasus
go.
says, "Thank you, Tawnya." Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. And thank you for the questions. I love this. So, one thing, it's kind of funny because you know how I'm just like Disney princess over here, and universe likes to talk to me through music a lot of times. And this morning, when I was like, okay, we're going to be talking about holographic universe, and I just was in the shower and I'm just kind of talking to source, like, okay, just bring in whatever you need to bring in so I can help them get it, because that's my intention. And the reason I'm doing this every day, like I was sharing on my video on Facebook, I was like, guys, I have people sometimes like, Tawnya, what if people can't afford your services? They can't afford to work with you one-on-one. And, how are they supposed to get the help? And I'm like, go look at my YouTube channel, and there's 2 years worth of shows that Amnon and I have done, and neither of us have been paid anything to do these. So this is what we do to help you. This is like from the heart. Amnon's sitting there doing the show to help the world. I'm sitting here giving this information to help the world. It's totally from the heart. So if we're wanting to heal and we're wanting to shift our reality, go watch these shows and like watch them again and again until it sinks in, because sometimes a message comes in and it just rattles us because it's kind of shaken the cage of where we're imprisoned. We've been so conditioned. And so then we watch that show maybe a second, a third, a fourth time, and it starts to really come in. And then we start to give ourselves permission to embody the wisdom. So you want to really make use of this. And so my answer to people that say that is, go watch our YouTube channel. And secondly, comeback is, what are you doing to help the world? Go focus on that. I feel personally we need to all focus on doing our part. Now, it's a waste of energy for us to sit around and judge other people or tell them what they should be doing, but it's damn good use of our energy to focus on our own game and focus on what we can be doing to help the world. So start there. But when I was getting ready this morning, the song that came in, I just start humming the song in the shower, and it was A Whole New World from the movie Aladdin. And I love Disney movies, but I'm just going to read the lyrics because this is what I feel my soul is here on this show today to do, to help you all with. It says, I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? That is so pivotal. When did you last let your heart guide you? Because the heart is where it's all at. Our soul knows where it wants to go, and it knows where it wants to evolve to. It knows what it wants to experience. Our heart is the message center of the soul. The heart feels it. It feels the pull. It feels the guidance. It feels the desire. Now, when's the last time we let our hearts decide? How many of us watching this show today let our minds tell us everything? Let our minds control our actions, control our choices. How many times do we say, oh, we can't listen to this heart's desire because my mind says there's not enough. My mind says that I'm not good enough. My mind says that I wasn't born into the right family. I've got limitation. I'm not worthy enough. But my heart says, no, we want to do that. We want to go there. So I love that line. And it says, I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under on a magic carpet ride. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go or say we're only dreaming. And I love this song and how Source brought it to me, because that is exactly what I'm talking to all of you about today, is how we can create a whole new world. And we can do it. We're here to do it. That is why we've come, is to create this whole new world in essence. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a fun thing that Source brought through. So I wanted to read you guys something. This is from my book, Holographic Universe, which is a fabulous book by Michael Talbot. And if you've never read it, I totally encourage you to. And there's so much good stuff. So let me see, where did I want to focus on here? On one of the pages, it talks about how the kahunas call the invisible aspect amakua, or the higher self, which is like Witten's metaconsciousness. It is the unconscious portion of a person that can see the parts of the future that are crystallized or set, and it is the part of us that is responsible for creating our destiny, but is not alone in this process. Like many of the researchers mentioned in this book, the kahunas believe that thoughts are things and are composed of a subtle energetic substance they called kinomea, or shadowy body stuff. Hence, our hopes, fears, plans, worries, guilts, dreams, and imaginings do not vanish after leaving our mind, but are turned into thought forms, and these too become some of the rough strands from which the high self weaves our future. And I love that, because what it's saying is just what I'm telling you all, is that we're holding a thought, and these thoughts that we hold repeatedly, they become a belief system, and that belief system starts to create a destiny. It starts to create a future outcome. Let's say that we all believe that we're not worthy and that we're going to be punished in some way, and we keep thinking it, and then some tragedy happens, and then we're all shocked, like, how could that happen to us? How could that happen to these people? Well, you were thinking it, you were expecting it, you actually believe you deserve it. It's not an external force punishing us. And according to this book, if you really read it, there's so much scientific evidence. There's another part where this guy was talking about, let's see, where was I at on this one? I want to kind of jump around here. Okay, so he's talking about our own, like, what kind of guides us, this guy Witten, that we are frequently reborn with individuals that we have known in previous existences. So they're talking about reincarnation, that we choose the same soul tribe, we come back to these people again and again, and that the guiding force behind our choices is often affection or a sense of guilt or indebtedness. So either something is lovingly guiding us to connect with the soul, or we feel like we did them wrong, there's guilt, there's indebtedness that's coming from us in our own consciousness, and that's causing us to go and play out something with them again to rectify that. He agrees that personal responsibility, not chance, is the arbiter of our fate. He has found that although a person's material conditions can vary greatly from one life to the next, their moral conduct, interests, aptitudes, and attitudes remain the same. Individuals who were criminals in their previous existence tend to be drawn to criminal behavior again and again. People who are generous and kind continue to be generous and kind, and so on. From this, he concludes that it is not the outward trappings of life that matter, but concludes that it is, that was terrible. Okay, let me read that again. Concludes that it is not the outward trappings of life that matter, but the inner ones, the joys, the sorrows, and the inner growth of the personality that appear to be most important. Most significant of all, he found no compelling evidence of retributive karma or any indication that we are cosmically punished for our sins. So no proof that there's external punisher, but it's that it's in us. It's we go back to that situation because of our guilt, our pain, our shame, or our joy. There is then, if we judge by the evidence of these cases, no external judge of our conduct, and no being who shifts us from life to life according to our deserts. If this world is, in Keats' phrase, a veil of soul making, we are the makers of our own souls. So this is just him seeing from his understanding from doing a lot of research with people with past life regressions and like understanding their past lives. And he was doing research where he was actually interviewing these people when they're in altered states of consciousness, and they're actually telling him what they came to understand and learn from their meta consciousness. So it's kind of like from the soul contract perspective. So when we're looking at these people today that died in the shooting, we can look at it just from like a movie playing out and it's a tragedy and it's just, you know, we're seeing black and white. Or we could go higher in a soul contract place and be like, wow, what are these souls working out together? What do they have a contract and agreement to play out? And are they going to continue to play it out again and again because of their fear, their guilt, their pain? Or will they come in and clear something from their love? A really great movie that I encourage you guys to watch that shows an understanding of past life reincarnation very well is Cloud Atlas. I've mentioned that movie many times. But in that film, they really show kind of what he says here, that their characters in the film, the ones that are dark villains and they're just criminals and corrupt, they play that again and again. So like I can't remember the guy's name. He was like in V for Vendetta, and he plays in The Matrix. He's one of the agents. He in the film Cloud Atlas, he's just repeatedly a bad guy. And he just that's like his soul just likes to play those parts. Then they show Tom Hanks' character, and Tom Hanks is a bad guy many lives, and he does some things that cause him serious guilt from letting one of his tribal members die. And then it shows him kind of working through that karma internally himself. And by the end, he actually evolves his soul and he finds peace. So I feel like it's important to realize that if you've chosen to be a criminal, let's say you've been a gangster many lifetimes and you've just been hateful and you've taken lives and you have no honor or reverence for life whatsoever, now that doesn't mean that you have no opportunity for evolution. In essence, your soul keeps playing it out because it wants you to evolve. It's part of your game, and how long it takes is up to you. So when we see it from that perspective, we realize that this quote in this book, the message of metaconsciousness is that the life situation of every human being is neither random nor inappropriate. See objectively from the interlife, every human experience is simply another lesson in the cosmic classroom. So when we're seeing it from a more galactic, like soul contract perspective, we can understand that all things that are happening perfectly and divinely timed for lessons in the cosmic classroom. Does that make sense to you guys? Write in and let me know if that makes sense, or share your input.
Nothing.
Awesome. Well, I think it makes sense. I'm just gonna, it makes sense to me. It's like crickets. I love it. Okay, I feel like this might be new for some of you guys to grasp. And if it is, just be patient with me and be patient with yourselves. And if you can, get a hold of the holographic universe, read that book, get a hold of Getting into the Vortex with the meditation CD, this one, and listen to that CD every day until you start to get your mind back into its alignment. It's like so many of us, I feel like we want to control the world around us. We want to make people not bad. We want to make people do the right thing. We want to make people get it. And so we put a lot of energy in trying to make people be something other than they are, while completely procrastinating our own inner work. And the faster, more productive path is going to be taking control of our own thinking, because we're not the ones in charge of what's happening out there. Everybody is creating their own holographic reality. So it's really up to us to focus our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions on where we would like to go. And that is when we become masters. We become masterful in our creation. And so ascended mastery is really, we're ascending in our consciousness, we're ascending in our experience through our masterful consciousness. We're being masterful in our thinking. Our masterful connection to our emotions and to our expectations is creating a very conscious creation. So that's really where our power's at. If we really want to take our power back, I got the power, and we want to bring it back, we need to look inside of ourselves, and we got to tune in. Like, there's times when things have happened in my life with people, and there's no part of me that ever wants to hurt another soul, ever. But there are times when, just like last time when we talked about evolving the tribal consciousness, there are times when I've known in my heart and soul that I am being evolved in a new direction. It's time for me to move on. It's time for me to go higher. And there's a lot of people around me that refuse to, and they don't want to go higher, and they don't want to change their stuff. They don't want to see that they're creating sickness and poverty. And so that's okay. And I've learned that that is okay, but that is where I have to keep going and honoring my heart, and I have to evolve beyond them. But I still am one with them. I still can love everyone, but there's times where source energy comes in and is like, it's time for you to go in that direction that you're so excited about, and stop staying stuck here. Because what happens is when we stay stuck and we're not honoring the calling of our heart, it won't be much longer after we do this that we're going to be resentful, we're going to be angry, and that we'll project that on others because we don't want to be there, and we're just trying to make excuses, and then we want to try to control everyone else around us to make them do what we need them to do to be okay. No, Just go and listen to your own heart and honor its calling. Honor what your heart loves, what it desires, and go and consciously create that life. That is what the world needs more of. We need more free, liberated, loving souls that are honoring their heart's calling instead of ignoring it. That's what the world needs. Okay. Any comments?
Sorry.
No? It's okay.
Sidekick is saying disconnecting from a negative environment when it would hurt so deeply to all.
Okay, what was that again?
Disconnecting from a negative environment when it would hurt so deeply to all. For all. And I guess he said it about something that you said in between.
Okay.
Sidekick, so, what was that in relation to?
Yeah, is this like basically, is it a question that...
And wait a second. Sidekick, why don't you call in?
Yeah, call in.
It would make a whole lot more sense.
518-9773. So basically what I'm getting is if we're in a situation that's very negative and we know it, which I've been there, 20-year marriage, totally toxic, knew that I wasn't being honored, nor would I ever be there. And I stayed there a long time for the children, for the family, for the convenience, because I was scared shitless that I could be okay on my own. What will they think of me? Will my family still love me? And so I've been there. I totally know what you're talking about. So when we're in that situation, that negative situation, and then we're like, oh, if I were to leave this, it would hurt so many people. Not really. It's going to actually evolve those people. You having the courage to honor your heart and go in that aligned direction, but you have to go without guilt. Because here's the trick. If we leave and we move and the soul goes into expansion and it goes to where it knows its heart wants and is ready to go, and it goes with love and gratitude and trust, that is going to be a blissful experience and it's going to be very graceful. But if we go somewhere and we carry the baggage of guilt, pain, blame, and shame with us, it's going to be a heavy journey. It's going to be really difficult for us to actually evolve. So what we'll do is it'll look like we're leaving, like we might leave that house or that situation with all that baggage, but we end up in a new situation with all the baggage. So we have new people that play out the same drama, the same chaos, the same negativity. Does that make sense?
I don't know, but he's adding to move a blockage. Yeah, she's right. To move a blockage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the key is all of us as souls are evolving. Truth. It's going to always happen. So we can take forever because we're afraid. We can take forever because of what they might think. We could take forever because we don't want to hurt people. We could take forever for so many reasons. We could procrastinate our journey, but we're all on that journey. And so the way I look at it is from a place of efficiency and integrity and authenticity is to honor the heart and go now. Move when your heart guides you to move. If you know that you need to release these relationships because they're no longer serving you, they're no longer healthy for you, that is called self-love, my friend. And that is something that's very new to many souls who have been in places thinking they're selfish to actually love themselves and honor what they need to be happy. Self-love is always the highest answer because whoever, let's say we're staying in a relationship with a partner and we think that we need to stay with that partner because if we leave, they're never going to be okay. And like, then they're going to hate us forever. And we stay there out of guilt and obligation, but we're not in love with them. We don't feel joy with them. They're very hateful to us. Maybe they're even abusive to us. This is not healthy. This is not beautiful. Once that happens and there's abuse in a situation, it's time to move on. It's time to cut that cord and it's time to move in a new direction. But cut it and send love and light to that human. What did you learn from them? What did your soul evolve and grow into knowing? And then move into a higher vibration so that you create a higher holographic reality. If you don't do that inner work, that's where I said we create the patterns. So we might jump off the merry-go-round with one partner, but we jump right back on another merry-go-round with another partner, and they play out the same thing. Because the inner work was not done. So we need to address the inner work. That's what, like, as a healer, that's what I help my clients with, is doing their inner work, their inner child work, helping them really clear and release that past cellular memory so that they can move in a new direction and be free and liberated and not keep creating the same patterns. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. And Sidekick is saying that you're on the right track
Thank you.
and that
Thank you.
you hit the nail right on the head. I think
Nice.
she meant.
Nice.
It's too bad that he or she weren't here in the beginning of the show to tell you that
Yeah.
you were on the right track. Wait till the end of the show to tell you that.
That's so funny. It's all good. Um, okay, so that being said, remembering we're all individually creating our holographic realities, so we want to really focus on that. I was going to read something really quick in here from the Getting Into the Vortex. I just kind of opened up to a page for you guys today, and this is the wisdom. This process of breathing and allowing makes it possible to get from wherever you are to wherever you desire. For as you breathe and release resistance, you tune your vibrational frequency to that of your source and to personal thriving. So, in essence, when we take time each day to meditate and be, to
So
go
I
on
go
a
like
walk
this.
and just be, we actually get ourselves to come into a place where we allow and we're not creating resistance. When we're busy in our heads and our heads going a million miles a second, I have clients sometimes call me, which I'm always open to, but I can tell when their egos are kicking their ass because they'll call me and they're just like, Tawnya, do you have a few minutes? I need to talk. And I'm like, sure. And really what happens is I'm sitting there listening to them just about all this crazy stuff for like maybe 20 minutes. And then I will be like, can I actually answer you on that? And then they're like, oh, sure, go ahead. And it's funny to me. I have a good sense of humor about it. But when we're really wanting guidance, that's what it's like to source. If you think of like source God as a being of consciousness that wants to help us with our problems, we're just like, blah, 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 blah. And that intelligence would love to give you guidance, but you need to stop. You need to just stop the chatter. And sometimes we're going so busy in our minds that we need to go and just sit down, lay down, and just breathe. Just connect with our breath, calm the mind chatter, quiet the mind so that it's not like a rapid river of thought, but we can bring it to a nice still pond. And that is when we can start to receive impressions from source. We can get the impressions, the guidance, the inner knowing because we've quieted the pond or we've quieted the mind chatter. It says when you are surrounded by pleasing things, you can easily perpetuate your positive attitude or good mood simply by observing your good feeling surroundings. It is easier to have a high-flying, happy moment in a physical body that feels good, but the necessity for having pleasing surroundings or conditions in order to feel good is an unsustainable situation. It does feel good to observe something pleasing, but it is not a good idea to need something pleasing to observe in order for you to feel good. So if that makes sense, like sometimes we're surrounded by chaos and we want to still come into a focal point of joy, ease, receptivity, gratitude, no matter what's happening. So traffic could be all around you. Stay in your center and stay in a space of gratitude and keep that vibration going until you start to draw in a new situation. But if we have to have it always be perfect around us to have ourselves feel good, we become little divas that are pissed off all the time and controlling people because we want them to do whatever we need them to do so we feel better. That's not sustainable. That's actually going to create a lot of tension in your life. If your happiness is dependent on seeing only pleasing situations, then you eventually become one of many who are futilely attempting to control the conditions that surround them. They never succeed and they do not sustain long-term happiness. In fact, they are rarely truly happy. Many people are approaching life exactly backward. Control conditions so that they can observe pleasing things, so that they can feel good. This daily meditation process will help you to get into the rhythm and flow of the laws that govern the vibrational universe in which we all live. Care about how you feel. So remember I was talking about, I feel so amazing. I'm so excited for what's coming. Even if right now I've got a crazy roommate and there's people taking my money and, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills, but I'm so grateful for all that's leaving my life. And I'm so grateful for all that the good is coming into my life. And I'm so excited to see how life is going to work this out for me. That is it, because you're not letting the external movie distract you and get you into a place of suffering to where now you're pissed off, you're angry, you're venting, and you're losing vibrational alignment. You're going down with the people that are around you. It's a very it's going to take a lot of your awareness, and it's a very conscious choice that must be made to become the master of one's mind. You observe it all happening, but you maintain your focal point of gratitude, of ease. This is something that I've learned to master, but it took me my lifetime, many lifetimes, to get to this place where I understand now that it's not worth losing my vibration. I could have family calling up, and I had a situation not long ago where um, I don't know if I should even get into this too much, because I don't think my family's watching this, and if they are, they needed to hear this. But anyway, there was like a request to send selfies, and so I was playfully sent a selfie of me and my beloved kissing. And one of the family members, I didn't even know that my niece at the time was missing, but I get this message sent back to me like, that was so inappropriate of you to send that picture, and how dare you, and did you know that so and so's missing? And I was just like, what the hell? And so I wrote back and was like, first of all, I sent a selfie, a picture, because you guys were playfully asking for them, and I sent one. And if it can't be received with love, please remove me from your list and I will not participate. And it went and it escalated from there, with this person getting so angry, and they needed to control me. And they were like, you need to call me now. And to the point where I ended up blocking their phone number. Now, the reason I say this is that this is just like a moment in time. I woke up, I'm in a good mood, everything's good. I could have lost my alignment and just got into this big angry ball and like blah, and just got so pissed off and ruined my whole day. I could have, and I've done this in the past. But instead, I just observed it like, this is crazy. I just sent a picture, and what is happening? This is so bizarre to me. And so I just said, please remove me from your list. Have a good day. I'm done. I have no desire to talk about this, and that I'm way too happy to lose my vibration for this. Now, some of my family members started texting me later, like, what are you talking about? And you need to call us. And I was like, not really. I'm actually fine, and you guys will figure it out on your own. I say that because it takes a lot of awareness not to get caught up in family drama or caught up in any drama of the world. If we aren't aware, we can lose our alignment really quickly. But it's always an option. It's always a choice. We don't have to lose our vibrational alignment for anybody. We can choose to go, you know what? I'm happy. I love myself. And you're clearly going and working through something today. And let me just kind of bow out, and I wish you all the best. But I am not going to get into that discussion with you. This is something that's a boundary that we show the world through self-love. And it's something we each need to cultivate in ourselves, because for far too long, a lot of us feel like we have to listen to that person ranting for 2 hours. We have to go, hang out with the people at the family that don't show respect. We have to tolerate this. We have to tolerate that. No, you don't. You need to be true to self. You need to love yourselves, and you need to start moving in directions that your heart's guiding you, and hold your thinking, your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions on the new holographic reality. And like that Aladdin song, we'll create a whole new world together from doing that. You'll create your own individual holographic reality, and then collectively we can all start to be more conscious as we call forth a new holographic reality for this earth. No more focus on doom and gloom like the movie Tomorrowland. Focus on what you love. Focus on what you want. Focus on your new earth from a beautiful perspective, not a doom and gloom perspective, and watch what you help create. So any final thoughts before we're done? Because it's 5:59. So any last comments or anything?
No, I mean, Psychic says, excellent show, my friend.
Thank you guys, and excellent that you
Hurry up.
all wrote in. What's up?
I said, hurry up.
Ah. Well, I am actually done. So thank you guys for writing in. I really appreciate it. And if any of you guys would like to to work with me as a mentor one-on-one, contact me, TanyaAngel555.com. You can see all my services there. And like I said, 2 years worth of shows are on YouTube under Tawnya Love. Go and follow me on there. Share the videos with your friends and family, because how we're going to help the world is get more and more people to understand the world we live in, and that we actually are so powerful. We got to wake up and realize that. Take our power back. We are not victims. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me live, and I will see you again next Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific on the TanyaLoveShow.com. Mwah!
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tawnya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.